Hello, conservatives. This is Mr. SOLI, one half of the Patriots Only Please podcast. We're 3 weeks into Trump's new administration, and there is just so much to talk about. Let's get started.
All right, and we are back. Hey, I like that little intro. That was really cool with the clapper and everything. That's really great. So, see, it gets more and more professional. That means that we have a real director there with the clapper and the chair and everything. Steven Spielberg is sitting back there with the. It's great. It's great. So yeah, man, it's been another whirlwind. I mean, Trump is on a tear. Those of us that appreciate what he's doing, we're certainly happy to see it. I'm sure there's quite a few that are rumbling. In the other direction, particularly with this U.S.A.I.D thing, which from what I've been told is do not mistake this for U.S.A.I.D or U.S.A.I.D. That's a total misnomer. I am ashamed to say that I didn't really know much about it. So, so this is all kind of sort of new to me. So I didn't really want to jump into the fray without being able to speak intelligently on this. So, but you seem to have more of a grasp on this. So I'm going to let you kind of take the reins here and explain what this is and try to calm some of these crazy lefties down a little bit that think we're stealing from the American people. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, there's no calming them down at this point, so I've given up on that. We're in the 5 stages of grief. They're already on stage 3. 3 weeks into Trump's administration, it's going to be a long 4 years for these folks. Essentially, Marco Rubio, who's just confirmed recently as the Secretary of Defense, he said something that I thought was very telling. He was being interviewed by a mainstream media outlet about this issue, about the USAID. He said when he was a senator for 14 years. When the U.S. Senate would ask for a statement, a financial review from USAID, they would say no. They just wouldn't provide them with that. When Congress would ask, they would just say, no, we don't do that. We don't provide you with we don't fall into your jurisdiction.
Wow.
No for 14 years. Nothing, no oversight, no, zero. Because and this is the reason why Trump's been able to shut it down and freeze the assets, is because the USAID falls under the executive branch. So only the president, who is the head of the executive branch, could make a ruling like this. Well, in Trump's first term, he was figuring out how to be a politician and didn't pay enough attention to it. He learned what the deep state was at the end, and he had 4 years in between to figure it all out. And he came back in ready to rock. And this is a great target to start with because USAID literally has no oversight. They call themselves a global charity. They have a $40 billion a year budget, and they report to no one. No one, because neither Congress nor the Senate can subpoena them, ask for their financial reports, like how are you spending this money? They have no say over anything. It's kind of a rogue, this $40 billion a year rogue NGO, but it's actually the federal government itself. It's very, very strange. And the CEO of it, the person that runs their name is Samantha Power. She's about to lose her job. Trump's about to let her go because she was in charge of this thing and basically let them run amok.
Yeah.
So that's a brief little history of it's supposed to be an organization that has $40 billion a year to support causes around the world that support American interests and American values. Simple enough, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is how they've been spending the money. Are you sitting down?
No, but I'm paying attention.
These are a few. Now, this is now public record. The Doge team, Elon Musk at the head, has made this all public record. You can anywhere that you get news, you can find this information now. Ad infinitum. There's droves of this stuff. They've been using AI and ChatGPT to go through all of it, and there's just droves and droves of how this money's been being spent. So here's just a few of the highlights for anyone out there paying attention. We sent $43 million to a gas station in Afghanistan that has no customers. 1.5 million to promote LGBTQ in Jamaica. 4 million for trans Serbians. 5.5 million for gay rights in Uganda. The Uganda government contacted the Senate, contacted the American government via our ambassador and said, "You're undermining our entire culture. Please stop doing this." And USAID's response was, "No, we'll keep sending the money to whoever we want to." So literally the host countries, governments are also excited about this stopping. Like they're like, great, we're so glad you're no longer going to tell our people what to think against
Sure.
our own wishes in our own country. Like they were literally acting as their own little rogue slush fund. If I may, this is one of my favorite ones. 25 million to promote green transportation in Georgia. Do you know what that ended up being? Because these guys, the Doge team has dug into the details. So this is what happened. This is what happened. We said USAID found a cheesy, sleazy marketing company in Georgia, and this is the country, not the state, where they speak Russian, that Georgia. And they got 25 million US to post one billboard on one highway that said, green energy for Georgia is good. Now, 25 million US in Georgia is like $70 million. So if that's not a kickback, I don't know what is. And that's all they did.
Of course.
They didn't do, nothing else was done with the money. There was no intervention work, nothing. They just posted a billboard on a highway. $25 million translated to Georgian money, about $70 million.
Of course.
1 million for Arab and Jewish photographers. 8 million to teach Sri Lankan journalists how to avoid binary gendered language. And 122 million ended up in the hands of terrorists. The Taliban was getting money. We've been funding the BBC through USAID. The biggest one that really bothers me is Politico. Now, Politico's a pretty fairly reputable news organization. They lean to the left, but they've been writing some pretty good journalism for a long time. Well, they received $26 million during Biden's administration, 8 million just last year. And they have two tiers of subscription levels, the regular subscription level, and then the pro-political subscription level, which is, guess how much that costs per year for a pro-politico subscription?
How much?
$75,000 for one person, because that tier of journalism is for lobbyists and NGOs. It's not for staffers in the government. But Biden said, everyone gets a pro-political account to the tune of $26 million. Can you? That's what you. That's like what you pay to go to a high-end country club.
Sure.
And so, do you think in the last 4 years, Politico wrote one word, anti-Biden, anti-Democrat? So this is buying coverage. I mean, imagine flip this for 1 second and imagine the right was doing this. Imagine there were Fox News or imagine Trump sending Fox News all this money. This CNN will be talking about this 24/7. They never stop. But it's on the other side. So they're riding in the streets demanding, and they're demanding what exactly? That's the question that I'm asking. Like, for them to stop misusing our money, that's a great thing to rally about.
Exactly.
So, and by the way, Elon Musk is doing this. It's a non-paid government appointee. Unpaid presidential appointee. President Trump, who won by a landslide, appointed him personally to do this. So he has every right to do it.
Yeah, and for everybody saying, well, these unelected bureaucrats, these unelected officials, these unelected bureaucrats, what are you talking about? It's the left has been the kings of this for decades. I mean, well, both sides have been doing this for decades. I mean, my God, there's always been, and like you said, this is an unpaid kind of appointment, and who doesn't want to get the corruption out of politics? I mean, and to your point, what are they? Okay, so if you're against that, then what are you for? Are you for?
Well, exactly. And the irony of being against this is, we just came from last year when the Democrats held no primary, and their statement to their voters was, it's Biden or bust. No choices. You get Biden or bust. 3 months later, Kamala steps in. They lost terribly, but the voters didn't get a chance to vote on the presidential candidate. Isn't that an example of the donor class and the elites of the DNC running the party?
Absolutely, 1,000%.
That is a threat to democracy, because becoming the president's a pretty important job, as we're finding out with Trump in office for 3 weeks. Didn't bother them one bit. But the slush fund, $40 billion a year to all these crazy far left causes around the world. That is important to not be touched.
Which, by the way, I don't recall any of us voting for to pay for any of that either.
No.
Absolutely. So you talk about unelected, unaccounted for funds, and for those that say, oh, well, the people didn't vote for Elon Musk. Yes, we kind of did. We voted for the team. We voted for Trump and Vance and Musk and Kennedy and everybody that's hopefully going to get confirmed this week.
Listen, Trump told us what he was going to do, and he won by a landslide.
Yep.
Biden and Harris never talked about USAID for a second, and they never, and they never will. This is an organization that reports to no one. That's been doing. So what's Jeff? What's the publication it's a satirical one? It's something with a B.
Oh, the Babylon Bee.
Babylon Bee.
Yes.
Babylon Bee had a great quote. The Babylon Bee's quote for today was, "The far left is upset that Trump's shadow government, Doge, is exposing their shadow government masquerading as a global charity."
Exactly. That sums it all up perfectly. But again,
And the Democrats' response is not Americans are still suffering under Bidenomics, still suffering under double-digit inflation. Everything's too expensive. Endless wars. No, it's this. They have dug themselves into being completely disconnected from average Americans, and I hope they continue to lose in the next 2 years, the next 4 years, because you can't. If you own a business and you stop listening to your customers, you won't be in business very long.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've tuned out the American people since Obama.
Yeah, and hopefully, again, I mean, we're kind of on the edge of our seats with these cabinet positions, So hopefully, as many or all of them get pushed through, because as soon as they are, then you think things are happening, quickly now, they're going to happen even quicker. Once they're all
I think what's happening, Jeff. I think what's really happening is, for example, when Pam Bondi got confirmed, her first order of business, the first order she issued, was she cut off all funding to all sanctuary cities. That's a bigger story than this USAID thing, actually. And the left, I think the left media is trying to figure out how to. They're using this as a smokescreen to get to this other stuff, because that's going to affect them literally where they live.
Yeah,
this is where they live, and that's about to change dramatically. I mean, the New York mayor, who's a Democrat, Eric Adams, was begging Biden for 4 years for help. I mean, he went on public television and said, "Mr. President Biden, New York City cannot handle this influx of immigrants. We're overwhelmed. We're out of money and we're overwhelmed." Silence. This is Democrat to Democrat. Silence. The governor of New York, Governor Hochul, "We'll figure it out. Keep them coming. We don't care." She's up in Albany. She's not in New York City. We're not seeing any of this stuff.
Yeah, sure.
So their party is imploding, and then it's imploding on that level, but it's galvanized by this USAID scandal in the wrong direction. They should be calling for the dismantling of this organization, for creating more transparency with all these government programs and the American taxpayer. It's the opposite. Because this USAID was funding these programs they're in favor of, they don't care that they don't care that there's no supervision. They don't care that they don't have to provide any kind of audit. They haven't been audited ever. They've never been audited once. So Doge is going to go through every single penny. And Marco Rubio has said, with Trump's permission, he's going to go through. USAID is not going to go away, because they do provide some value. They do support American interests and values around the world. They're going to go through each one, and Trump's team will offer a waiver to the ones that make sense and defund the ones that don't. And right now, it's looking about 25% are going to stay and 75% are going to go. And Trump's team's getting phone calls from government leaders around the world saying, "Thank goodness you're stopping this nonsense, because these rebels and crazy people in our country were getting these huge chunks of American dollars, and we couldn't stop it."
Yeah, because that's the other thing. I mean, it may have been earmarked for something that we think is ridiculous. The money could have actually, most likely, was going to fund maybe some terrorism, maybe some, what I mean. So you don't even know where the money ended up.
Well, if we sent $43 million to a gas station in Afghanistan, which is run by the Taliban, because Joe Biden gave the country to the Taliban, It screams of a kickback, of
Yeah,
cronyism, of I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But I mean, there's no justifying this stuff. And again, the best thing the left can do for our side, the best thing the left can do for the country right now is to continue this nonsense and
sure.
continue screaming about it and continue focusing a spotlight on this. So average people, low propensity voters that don't really pay attention can go, what's going on? What? Wait a minute. What now? I mean, the $25 million we sent to the country of Georgia to put up one billboard on a highway. How would $25 million would help a lot of American people, a lot of Americans who are suffering. It'd pay a lot of single mothers their rent or food or both, right?
Sure.
Why aren't Democrats making that argument? Why aren't they making the argument that all this misallocated money could have gone back into our own country and helped us? The people, by the way,
Instead,
to whom the people, by the way, to whom they work for. They work for us.
Yep.
They're public servants, man.
Yeah. Instead, their only concern is to cover their own asses and to save themselves and to save their slush fund. That's it. That's the only thing they're concerned with. They haven't even turned this around on how this affects the people for the good of the people. It's all just they've shown the spotlight on Elon. It's somebody, this unelected billionaire who's doing the bidding of his president.
Right.
No, he's exposing your corruption, and you can't come up with any other better argument than, we need to cover our own asses because of this billionaire. Not, like you said, look at all this money that's been misappropriated that could have gone back into the USA. Ridiculous.
Ladies and gentlemen, whoever's watching this podcast, anywhere you are in the world, please remember this. Trump said he would do this. This was not a secret. Trump told the American people exactly what he planned to do, how he planned to do it, and with whom he planned to do it, including Elon Musk. And he wants at least 77 million votes, maybe more. He won all the swing states. He won the Electoral College and the popular vote. That means American citizens voted for exactly this. That is more important than the USAID. That's more important than the Democrats'
kickback slush fund. Yep.
Their slush fund. It's time to clean this stuff up. And again, Trump's got 4 years to do it. He hit the ground running. He's already signed more executive orders in 3 weeks than any other president in history, including Biden.
Because he
has to. He's got so much to fix. And do you see the video where he signed into law that biological men can no longer compete against biological?
Great, fantastic.
He was surrounded by 500 women, mothers, girls, going, "Thank you so much, my gosh!" Like, thank you. Like, again and again and again, common sense is winning out, and of course, the mainstream media knocking it. The Democrats excoriating him. But who are they speaking for?
Themselves.
I guess so.
That's it.
They talk about us being in a cult and us being in an echo chamber. You're not listening to average Americans.
True.
You have a daughter. I have a daughter. I don't want my daughter to compete against a biological man in boxing or wrestling.
Yeah,
are you kidding me? It's crazy. I mean, everything's been flipped upside down. We just had the worst president and vice president in history pretend to run the country. Joe Biden was on vacation 40% of the time he was in office. That's almost half. Almost half of the time he was in office, Joe Biden was on a beach in Delaware. And this administrative state, U.S.A.I.D. and organizations like it were running the show. Well, Trump has come in. Trump has taken a firm hold of everything. He's not golfing every day. He's getting this stuff worked. The first 100 days are going to be a nightmare for the folks on the left and a blessing for average Americans who work hard, pay taxes, barely get by, and are tired of that, are tired of living that way.
Yep.
And this $40 billion a year getting blown all over the world for causes that no one even was aware of is not what America is about. This is not. We're now an America first country. That's the old way. That's America last. So I hope Trump goes through the entire federal government top to bottom and gets rid of this nonsense and puts us on the right course, gets us back to a strong economic foundation, ends the war in Ukraine. We're seeing the hostages are coming home from Israel, and he put the massive sanctions back on Iran. He and Putin are getting ready to have a meeting real soon. Trump just
Mhm.
met with Xi from China. So
Yep.
Canada and Mexico are doubling down on their borders to make sure the fentanyl stops, the illegals stop, that border security is a priority for both countries on both sides of our northern and southern borders. I mean, he's doing exactly what he said he would do at record
Mhm.
speed. The Democrats are losing their mind, and they should be. They should be ashamed of themselves for the way they ran this country into the ground for 4 years and left Americans out to dry.
Yeah, absolutely. And lest anyone need to be reminded, that is exactly what we voted for. That's exactly what 77, almost 78, probably more, a million people in this country voted for. We voted for exactly this, what he's doing, how he's doing it, and who he's doing it with. So for anybody that says they were these unelected billionaires, well, no, okay, no. First of all, we did elect a billionaire, and the team that came with him, and don't even get us started on you guys throwing your candidate out to dry and propping up another one. So it's once
Jeff,
again the
and Jeff,
hypocrisy.
well, Jeff,
Yeah.
in Biden's last couple of weeks as president in January of last month, of January 2025, he gave the Medal of Freedom to Michael Bloomberg, a billionaire, and
Mm-hmm.
George Soros, a billionaire,
Sure,
who
a
have a combined
billionaire.
wealth of almost $1 trillion. So it's not the
Sure.
fact that they're billionaires; it's the fact that they're billionaires on the left. Or
Yeah.
I'm sorry, they're billionaires on the right. They're not billionaires on. So again, Democrats don't have a problem with anything as long as it's on their side.
Of
When it's
course.
on
Of
someone
course.
else's side, they're in the streets screaming and hollering. But this money, the USAID, the $40 billion a year that they've been blowing in these crazy ways around the world, affects every American, including Democrats.
True.
I guarantee you the
True.
average blue family had no idea they were spending $5.5 million for gay rights in Uganda. It's like,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Of course.
wouldn't $5.5 million help our state or our city run a lot better? Put solar panels on a lot of roofs? Isn't climate change an existential threat to life?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
why aren't there solar panels on every roof? We have enough money. Just this the budget for this one organization could put solar panels on every roof in the country. Fix that, rebuild every bridge.
Sure, sure. Because oh yeah, that's right. Because it's not supposed to go to what it's saying it's going to. Some of it's going there. The rest is being funneled right back into the pockets of the people that are, yes, allocating these ridiculous and
And
funding these ridiculous programs.
I hate to burst. Anyone out there that's on the other side. I hate to burst your bubble, but Obama's a part of this. Hillary Clinton's a part of this. I mean, they're all right in the middle of this stuff.
Of course.
They're all in on it. I
Yeah.
love watching Pocahontas screaming her lungs out outside about defending this kind of nonsense, and we're supposed to take her seriously. I mean,
Mhm.
the rot in the Democrat Party. A lot of these folks have been in there for way too long. I really hope one way to fix this problem, Jeff, is to get term limits passed as a law.
Sure, sure.
If that happens, that's really the game changer, because it will get the rot. The deep state will dwindle. The 30, 40, 50 year one person in there, that needs to stop, man. That was never the founders' intention for our government. It was, I mean, think about this. I mean, Chuck Schumer, almost 50 years. Biden,
Mhm.
over 50 years. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, Obama was a one-term senator and a president for 8 years and then got out. That mean, I'm not a fan of Obama, but that at least the timeline makes sense in terms of
Sure.
time in government. Then he went back
Sure.
to being a private citizen. That
Sure.
makes sense. But being a senator or a congressperson for 40, I mean,
Yeah.
come
Dianne
on.
Feinstein, Mitch McConnell. I mean, oh my God, Feinstein, even to her last breath, vote, yes, vote, yes.
Yeah,
She didn't even know where the hell she was.
no idea. The only thing that happens when you're in government that long is you become completely compromised. We know that now. So term limits, if Trump gets anything done in the first 100 days, he's done so much, and
He's
God
already
bless
done.
him.
Yeah.
But man, if term limits become law, that would really, DC might change completely. K Street might shut down. I don't know. But if he's able to get that done and not get unalived, that would be an amazing thing for this country, because it would force politicians to actually work, to actually forget about campaign funding and just focus on governing.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, that's how it should be. That was the original intention. So look, I think all of this is, again, going in the right direction. We will see where this fight goes. I mean, I'm enjoying watching some of the misguided liberal tears, and then, but once again, I'm not surprised. You just push it right back in their faces, and it's all hypocrisy. Oh, I get it. Corporate money is bad when it's taken on this side, but you guys can take all you want. Got it. Okay, got it.
Well,
So yeah,
Jeff, well, all this is happening. You know what Joe Biden did this past week? He signed with CAA. He signed with CAA to give speeches.
Of course.
He's brain dead. How are you going to charge $500,000 for a brain dead person to talk for 30 minutes? Good luck with that, CAA.
Look, they pulled it off for a couple of years. They could probably get at least, hopefully they can trot him out there for at least a year before he has a really bad public disaster again.
You think?
With the right pharmaceutical help, probably.
I don't know. I maybe, but with the way Trump's changing Washington and so quickly, Trump's already has a plan for ending that whole, like, if you heard about, I mean, he was talking about this on the campaign trail. His argument is, once you've been in government this long, there should be a time limit before you're allowed to work in an industry that you were previously governing. There should be you should just sign some kind of like NDA saying, I can't, since I was on a government commission for the HHS, I can't take a job in the private sector, anything to do with health or pharmaceuticals, for at least 18 months. So the information I have that's still fresh in 18 months won't be, to give people a fair shot at not, you know what I'm trying to say?
Sure, yeah. Absolutely.
So that would work against Joe Biden's CAA gig, because he doesn't know what he's talking about anyway. But it just goes to show you the priorities of these people. Of
course. It's all about being self-serving and again, doing favors. It's very old school Washington, and that's what we voted for. Even the people that don't necessarily like Trump's personality, that's fine, whatever. They didn't necessarily vote for him. They voted for an America First agenda. And he's the instrument, he's the conduit, he's the bull in the china shop that's gonna tear it all down. And it's what happens going forward after the next 4 years have elapsed. That's where what's going to be really telling about the future of this movement.
In the same way, so when Elon Musk bought Twitter, we know for a fact from the Twitter files that the Biden administration was working in cahoots with Jack Dorsey to suppress conservative voices, to suppress any negative coverage about COVID, except what the government wanted you to believe. They actively work together. The Biden administration and Twitter work together to make Americans dumber about everything.
Sure.
Elon Musk took over. I'm sorry?
And Facebook by Zuckerberg's own admission. Yeah, absolutely.
So Trump told us how bad it was, and now he's showing us the books to prove that he was right. And Democrats are still going, hate that guy, hate him, terrible, traitor. The Al Green, not the soul singer, the representative from Texas, Al Green, the representative from Texas, has already introduced articles of impeachment for Trump.
I know. Yeah. Good. Okay. Great. Yeah. Good. Next.
They don't control anything. And in terms of getting Trump's nominees through, all they can do is stall. They can do the whole thing where they're on the floor for 28 hours straight and stall. But in the end, we have the votes. So Trump will get, Kash Patel will get the gig. Tulsi will get the gig. And then he'll have his whole team on ready to rock. The Democrats can't stop this red wave that they unleashed with their own incompetence, their own corruption. And here it comes, man. We're in the middle of it right now. It's going to be an incredible first 100 days. And he's going to change the way America works from the inside out. And God bless him for doing it, because I don't know about you, but I'm old enough to feel what it's like to pay taxes, to really to send that money out and go, where's it going? And, and now we know. Now we know where it's going. And plus, we're $37 trillion in debt. Is anyone paying attention to the books here? What's going on, guys?
I know. Complete, not even so much mismanagement. Of course, a mismanagement, but an intentional. Look at you. That kind of mismanagement and malfeasance. That's malfeasance. I mean, that's intentional. Robbery. That's mafioso crime family kind of stuff.
Of course it is. Of course it
Absolutely.
is. Government sanctioned with no oversight. And at least Trump is saying, hey, look, man, if you're going to, the American people just voted me in to be the CEO of this company called the United States of America.
Yep.
I'm going to audit the books. I'm taking a look at everything. If you don't like it, I don't care. You can go. We can let you go. We'll get someone else that'll work with us on making sure I mean, again and again and again, we talked about this on previous podcasts. I am so glad to hear an administration saying over and over from every department that they feel responsible to the American taxpayer. It's not their money; it's our money. They can't. I mean, it's not a slush fund. It's American taxpayers' hard-earned dollars. There's no such thing as government spending. They're spending our money. They're printing money out of nothing that we have to pay back later at interest, or our kids do. It's enough already. So let's get. I mean, I would think if there were patriotic Democrats, they'd be supporting this wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you would think that this would be exactly what they would be, because they've been screaming about this forever. I thought this was the party of the common man. You know, let's get the corruption out of politics finally. But again, as long as it serves them, then
the Democrats, the Democrats are the deep state. The Democrats are the reason why the country's in debt. The Democrats are the reason why the country's in these endless wars. The Democrats have become the party of war. Everything that RFK Jr. said pre-inauguration is exactly right. The Democrats are the party of big pharma, big ag, big wars, big banks, big Silicon Valley, because that's where they get their money from. And at the end of the day, it's about money. At the end of the day, it's about enriching themselves and their families, and putting a wall between themselves and the lives that they live privately. You know what I mean? None of this stuff affects them personally.
Of course not. Of course not. And putting a wall between them and the people that they're supposed to be serving, which is the worst thing.
Please stop voting for these people. Whoever you are, whoever's still voting for these people, and on the right too. If you've got a Republican in your district that's acting inappropriately or wasting your money, vote him or her out. We're saying, listen, we're holding the same standard for all politicians. They work for us, not the other way around. It doesn't seem that way, but that's the way it's supposed to be. And Trump's putting it back in that direction, and it's upsetting a lot of people. But those same people who are upset, making all this noise, lost everything in the last cycle. They lost everything because we've had enough of that. We've had enough of their nonsense, enough of their corruption, and enough of their looking at us right in the face and lying and saying Joe Biden's in great shape. Right? The border is secure. The war in Ukraine is going to help America. Like, what?
Kamala actually has a brain and is worthy of holding the office of President of the United States. Did you see the unreleased footage? I couldn't get through the 45 minutes of it. I just couldn't. You don't need to get through 45 minutes of it. You can get it in 45 seconds.
Again, the fact that they were forced to release that, and under the previous administration, they were allowed to hide it. I mean, it's such, and the last justification is Trump is so evil, and Trump is such a threat to democracy that anything we do is justified to stop him from winning this election. Now that he's in, now that didn't work, and so the American people saw through that. And now that he's the president and in power, he's showing everyone how corrupt they are from the inside out, and they're losing their minds. And maybe that's the best thing for them. Maybe they need to face their own demons and realize they're the problem. You know what? How about you step down, Cory Booker in New Jersey? Step down. Do something else with your life. Don't be a politician. You're failing at it. You're not good at it. You're good at lying. You're good at being corrupt. Maybe it's time to do something else. Sell insurance. You know, they love people like that. I don't know, right? Yeah. Sell used cars. But I mean, stop blaming the system for you destroying it.
Exactly. And on that note, there's not much more we can examine on this. Although I'm sure over the coming days, there's always something. I'm just my big thing. I'm just holding out for these cabinet nominations. So that's been what I've been paying attention to. So the whole U.S.A.I.D thing kind of sort of passed me by, but which is, I know I'm remiss to admit that it is. I shouldn't have done that. What kind of a pundit am I? I'm not really.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. But realize too, I know we're wrapping things up here. how many people around the world are going to be silently thanking God that this stuff's going out of their, leaving their country?
Sure.
Because
Absolutely.
because when the United States sends money and when the United States contracts people in different countries, even that country's government are a little bit like, well, we don't want to piss off the USA,
Sure.
so we'll let them keep giving these Ugandan people billions to, whatever. It's like, it's startling to me that we've been kind of almost like manhandling the whole world.
And that ends now, thankfully. As does this episode of Patriots
Yes, it
Only.
does.
Please be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us at Patriots Only, please. And for those of you that are into like going, checking out some landing pages, getting on a mailing list or two, check out patriotsonlyplease.com. And yeah, until next time, I always like to leave you with the last word, the last little catchphrase there.
Keep on trumping.
You heard the man. All right, we'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.